My wife handed me divorce papers and thought she'd blindsided me. Then I handed her the ones I'd filed 2 weeks earlier. Last Tuesday, I came home from a 14-hour shift, still smelling like the warehouse, and found my wife sitting at the kitchen table with a manila envelope and a look I'd learned to recognize. It was the look she wore when she thought she was 3 moves ahead of me. "Sit down," she said. "We need to talk." I didn't sit. Something in my gut told me to stay on my feet. She slid the envelope across the table with 2 fingers, slow, like she was dealing a winning hand. "Go ahead, take a look at what the next chapter of your life is going to cost you." I opened it. Divorce papers, and not modest ones. She was asking for the condo I'd bought 3 years before we ever met, half of my pension, 4 years of spousal support, and a lump sum for supporting my career. I taught her how to jump a dead battery 6 months ago. That was the extent of her support. I looked up at her face, at that certainty, that little smirk that said she'd finally caught me off guard. "Interesting," I said. Then I walked over to the hall closet, reached up behind the box of holiday decorations, and pulled down my own envelope, the one I'd been quietly sitting on for 2 weeks. I set it on the table next to hers. Funny thing, I filed mine on the 9th. You're about 11 days late. The smirk slid right off her face. She snatched my envelope up, and I watched her eyes hit the court stamp and the filing date, proof that mine was already in the system while hers was still warm from the printer. How did you, Renata?" I said. "You've been gone from this marriage for over a year. The late nights that never added up. The work trips that never showed up on the shared calendar. The way you flinched every time I came near you. I noticed all of it. I just didn't say anything." I pointed at a section in my filing. "See that? That's a forensic accountant's report. It covers the $29,000 you moved into an account I wasn't supposed to know about, in chunks, over the last 16 months. Her face went pale. "And the condo? It's held in a trust I set up before we got married. You're entitled to exactly none of it." She started crying. It was the angry kind. The kind that comes when a plan falls apart, not when a heart does. "You had no right to go digging." "Actually," I said, "when you funnel money out of our joint accounts into a hidden one, that's called dissipation of marital assets, and my attorney is very eager to explain it to the judge. Here's how I knew. Around 4 months back, she'd suddenly gotten sweet again, which after a year of being treated like a piece of furniture felt deeply wrong. She started asking oddly specific questions about my pension, about the condo paperwork, about how beneficiaries work after a divorce, things she'd never once cared about. Then a friend of mine who does mortgage lending mentioned, totally casually, that he'd run into her at his office asking about qualifying for a place on her own income. He assumed I knew. I didn't. So I hired a lawyer quietly and paid in cash, and he brought in the forensic accountant, and that's how we found the transfers. $1,200 to $2,000 a month, siphoned out steadily. She wasn't just planning to leave. She was planning to empty me out on the way. The hearing was ugly. Her attorney tried to paint me as controlling and dug up old texts where I'd asked about big purchases, and my lawyer laid it all out. The bank statements, the lease she'd already signed on an apartment 4 months earlier, and screenshots between her and her sister. Just have to make it to the anniversary, that's when support kicks in. Move the money first. He never checks. By the time I'm done, he'll be lucky to keep the truck. The judge read them with a face like granite. He denied her spousal support entirely, ruled the condo my separate property, and counted the $29,000 she'd taken as her share. Paid early. Outside, her mother screamed that I'd ruined her daughter's life. I didn't ruin anything. She wrote the whole plan herself. I just happened to read it first. It's been finalized 3 weeks now. I kept the condo, my pension, and my sanity, and the people who actually know us never believed a word of her story.